Don't record that. If you know me in real life, you know I detest public transport. However, the only time I will use it is to go and collect a car. So, here's me in a taxi, then we went via a train station. This one we started at Tamworth, and then here's the lovely board where they tell you the time. It was actually on time. Here's a train that wasn't my train, and then eventually we got on a train. We went via London Euston, I think it was, got off there, then we had to get on a underground, swapped to another train at London Victoria, and then eventually we ended up in Kent, I think it was. Second train, I think it was, that was this next day, Saturday, went to Derby Station, and then via another station via Sheffield, and then eventually we ended up in Normanton. Perhaps I've got a little bit of explaining to do. Right, it's now Sunday. On Saturday, yesterday, I picked up this, and then on Friday, picked up that. Yeah, I now have two Tourings I didn't have before. So, let's talk about it. Starting with the 34 on the outside. You may see here, and here, it's had a little bit of a crash. Well, not a crash, but a little bump. And then if we come down the driver's side, we've got rust here. Yeah, it's also crashed into something. It doesn't have, yeah, that needs repairing. It gets better around the back. Here is better. This has had rust repair, there's rust here. Yeah, anyway. Right, tailgate, normally go on BMWs. This is nice and clean, no rust. But you'll notice that the wiper thing is missing, the lock's missing, that doesn't work. Anyway, it's had a back box delete, so it is noisy as hell. It also has an exhaust leak, which also needs repairing. This quarter's good, I think. Yes, one good quarter. And this door's okay on the outside. This door, maybe not so much. Bit of rust, and yeah, you have to open it from the inside. That window doesn't work. The sunroof doesn't work. This wing's all right. So, no, it's not. This one's crusty and not attached. So in conclusion, lots of bodywork on the 34. Gonna have to find some centre caps. Tyres are also completely knackered. So yeah, not the best idea. Right, moving on inside is a better story, luckily. A little bit of bolster wear on the seat, but nothing terrible, and it's mostly complete seats dashboard wise. You may notice, come around here, come this side, that there is no door cards. The door cards are missing on everything but the driver's door. The story I was given by the seller was the previous owner bought this car as a door donor, so the doors on this are not original to the car, hence the crash damage and all that, missing windows and all that gubbins. So apparently there's a full set of door cards in the boot to make it good again, so I will go through the bits, find out what's missing. Luckily I've been speaking to a breaker in, where was it? Milton Keynes? No, Norfolk. He has 2 driver doors which will replace these for like 150 quid. So that'll be easier than trying to repair those. But yeah, interior is mostly complete from what I can see. Doesn't have any options that I'm aware of. No aircon, no cruise. And lastly, the best bit of a E30, E34 BMW, the bonnet opens the wrong way, which is just beautiful. And if you come in here, you will see an M50 engine, 2 litre, nothing fancy. Quite dry, surprisingly. These are normally leaking and all over the shop. Allegedly, this has done 100,000 miles. How much of that I believe, I don't know. But yeah, we're just going to do everything from top to bottom. It needs fluids, gaskets. That's the thing with these. If you don't know about them, it's better to just do everything. Radiator's been leaking. You can see by all this brown, gunky crap. Yeah. So yeah, a little project, nothing horrendous. And now, moving on to the 36. We've moved on in, 3 years' time? That's a 94, this is a 97, 98, I think. We'll start at the front. It has an M Sport bumper. This car is not an M Sport, it's a 316 Auto shell that someone has plopped a M52 2 litre in, but we'll get to that in a second. So, M Sport front bumper, fog lights don't work obviously because there's no wiring for them. Horrendous gel, illegal number plate, that needs to go in the bin very quickly. Headlights are full of water. Luckily these you can take apart and dry, unlike my F11 where they were like £1,000. These very easy to fix. If you come around here, it's got the classic right hand side front indicator delete. Already got some of those on order from eBay. Weirdly for a 36 it's quite solid. There's tiny bits of scab. but no rust that I can see down this side other than a little bit on a door, but I don't mind doors because we can replace that. It's a bolt-on part. I'm not sure how original the paint is, but it's pretty straight coming down the sides. You may notice it's on its arse. It's got some coilovers, I have no idea what, but it's dropped, which needs changing because it's far too low. There is a tiny, tiny bit of scabbage on this sill, but I think that's because it's been hit more than actual corrosion, but the jacking point under it's actually solid. So a little bit of zhuzhing, but nothing crazy. And then moving around the back, my most hated car thing on the rear. Someone's deleted the rear wiper, which is utterly pointless, so we'll put that back. Another horrendous gel illegal number plate, that needs to go in the bin. There's a bit of scab on the boot lid because it's an E36, but again, bolt-on part, nothing horrendous. That exhaust is horrible, that needs changing. A little bit of a love tap around the rear, and then same story down this side. It's pretty straight, there's nothing crazy. There's not even like scabs on the front arches, which is pretty good. Right, you'll also notice inside most of the interior is not attached. Apparently it's a thing with people that drift cars. So yeah, this all needs reattaching. That's the original steering wheel. Not particularly fond of the steering wheel that's attached because the horn buttons on the cowl not even been done properly. Let's move. Oh yeah, it's got bad boy tints as well everywhere. That needs to change. But largely complete compared to the E34. You'll notice that all these trims are apart because earlier the EWS was messing about and wouldn't start, so I had to work out what was going on there. So that needs to go back together, but it was nice because there was this horrendous aftermarket alarm thing that's now been deleted with some antenna thing. Anyway, that's all gone, but it's all complete. It's got seats. It's got one of those, which just needs to go in the bin. That shifter's horrendous. If it was actually bushed correctly and not baggy, it would be all right, but it's just wrong. So yeah, it needs a little bit of loving, putting back to original. Headliner's not too bad. But yeah, largely complete. It drives all right, other than what we're going to move on to in a second. But yeah, not bad. And the last slight problem this car has, which we can't really get on film, but I can describe to you in only one way, it's got a welded diff. However, someone snapped one of the drive shafts very recently, so it's currently one-wheel drive. So it is terrifying to drive. So we're going to fix that very quickly because, conveniently, if we come in the boot, wrapped in towel, that's where you keep your differentials, here's an open diff and a couple of drive shafts to sort that problem out. What a lovely thing. And lastly, let's have a little gander in the engine bay. It's got the standard horrendous eBay pod filter, so we'll put a nice standard airbox back. You can see the top of the coilovers, I have no idea what brand they are. The battery's in the wrong place because it's been 3 to 8 swapped. That should now be in the boot, so we'll move that because it's all very crowded up here. But largely complete. There's no damage to any of the chassis rails that I can see, so I don't think there's been any crashes or bumps. This one's not leaking coolant. It's missing the shroud for the viscous fan, which you can also see has tried to explode. I'm not surprised there's not a hole in the bonnet like there was on my E39, so we'll probably do an electric fan maybe, or we'll just replace this for a proper one. Someone's modified all this wiring because there's an electric fan here that's not attached to anything. But yeah, a few teething problems. At least this one runs and drives. There's no real issues that I know about. Let's put that diagnostic plug cover back on. I was trying to work out what was wrong with it earlier. So yeah, I think sort this one out, make it road legal, and get it for an MOT, and then we'll move on. Now, hopefully you can hear me over the horrendous exhaust blow that this car's got. It's definitely not wearing its age well, this thing. According to the MOT history, it's done 100-ish thousand miles. I think it's more. I mean, the sound isn't helpful, but it kind of falls over bumps. It doesn't really absorb them. It doesn't ride like an E34 should. I think it's probably on all the original suspension bushes and arms and bits and bobs, so it's going to need a refresh in that department. But you know, other than that, there's no weird noises or anything. It just feels very baggy and yeah, it's tired. It needs a little bit of love. The steering works fine. You know, so I drove this all the way back from near Pontefract in Yorkshire. So that's what, hour 50-ish home. So I kind of got to know the car quite well in that time. It didn't overheat. It used probably a quarter of a tank of fuel, so I don't think it's running too badly. The problem with the exhaust blow is it's at the front, and because there's no proper door seals and stuff, that fumes are coming in. So I was getting a little bit of a headache driving home. Not ideal. But yeah, this is kind of the era of BMW where things started going electric. So you've got electric mirrors and bits and bobs and electric windows. The driver's one works as far, you know, because that's the only one that's connected. I'm hoping the rest do, but hopefully parts are quite reasonable to find for those. So, you know, there's no big cost to do this. It's just little bits and bobs that make up the bigger picture. All the dials work. The auto box switch doesn't work, but I think I'm going to manual swap this if I can find the right bits to do it. So that's not too much of a worry. And it's got an MOT for a bit, so it's not the end of the world. You know, I can do this as we go on. Finding interior bits are luckily quite easy because a lot of these rotted, so a lot of people have got the interior bits. And luckily Tourings aren't too rare that you can find bits and bobs not too far away. So yeah, it's not horrendous. It needs a bit of love. It needs a lot of love. Considering this thing's only got 150 horsepower, according to the Internet of Lies, it picks up eventually and just makes... There's more noise than propulsion, which is the problem, but you know, it was never designed to be a sports car. It's a wafty, cruisy, lazy 6-cylinder. So, you know, it's torquey but not powerful. So I'm kind of all right with it. We might engine swap it. I don't know. It was a whim. So yeah, the last thing we should talk about is how much did I pay for this thing? This was the grand total of £1,500, which I don't know if that's good or bad for an E34, because the problem with E34s, well, Tourings especially, there isn't many of them for sale. So I have no idea what to judge the price on. I think there was one other for sale that I saw on Car and Classic, maybe. I can't remember where it was, but it was like £8,000. I mean, it was immaculate, but it's a lot of money. So I think for 1,500 quid, I could probably sell this tomorrow for more, but I'm going to try and make it good, make it drivable, presentable, make it a half-decent car, and then consider what I want to do with it. Problem is now, my commute is, what, 12, 13 miles in each direction, whereas it used to be 40, hence why I had the F11. It was a nice, you know, diesel cruiser. But I've now gone back to my old ways. Old ship boxes, Bangonomics. I think it's the way to go, and hopefully this will prove me wrong. I hopefully don't have to spend a humongous amount of money getting this right. But time will tell. I'm also unsure if I'm going to modify this thing. It'd be really nice if I could get some nice coilovers for it, not some cheap horrendous things, or just do a full refresh, put it on a nice set of Bilstein. I think you can get B4s, B6s for these still. You know, set of standard or IBAC, maybe slight lowering springs. I'm not going crazy, it still needs to be a daily. And then, yeah, just use it and then kind of iron out the faults as and when they happen. The beauty of knowing about fixing cars is you can do that. You can write yourself a list and prioritise with the bits that are super important that need fixing now, or the bits that go, you know, that'll wait till the MOT, or I'll live with it for now. So yeah. Let's move on to the E36. I'm not going to go particularly far in this because, as I mentioned before, it's got a welded diff and only one of the drive shafts are installed. So it tries to kill you if you try and drive anything other than 10% throttle. Other than the whole diff issue, it drives all right, as to be expected for an E36 that's done, what, 170,000 miles? It's dropped on its arse on unknown coilovers and had, I think, 11 owners. So, you know, you've got to take it with the rough with the smooth. There's a lot of things I need to correct in this thing because, yeah, the shifter, it's too baggy. If you can have a short shifter, it's got to be nice and tight. I'm not sure I need a hydro handbrake. We'll go over all these bits and bobs. As I mentioned, it needs a rear wiper because I can't see out the back anymore. Bits of trim need to go back together, but you know, overall as a car, it drives not too badly. I'm hoping when all the bits and bobs are done, for not a lot of money, it will actually be quite a good car because it kind of feels all right at the moment. So yeah, hopefully a couple hundred quid and it will all be good again. I should probably share how much I paid for this. The E34 was 1,500 quid, as we've mentioned, which was an unintentional buy, but this one was £3,500, which I don't think was too bad. There's none really for sale that I could find online other than a really knackered 320i Auto for £1,000, but was so scabby and rotten. And then at the other end there was an immaculate, I think it was a 323i Shell with an M47 diesel engine, something, for £8,000. So I think it was priced properly. We'll find out when we go underneath and see how bad everything is. I need to sort that exhaust blow because it's really loud. I think it's going to need a cat for the MOT, and then I'll chuck it for an MOT and see what they come back with. I might be surprised, I might not. Oh yeah, needs to put a new drive shaft in. Luckily, because there's an open diff in the boot, we can chuck that in and no money spent. Perfect. Right, in summary, the 36, as far as I'm aware, for an MOT will need possibly cats, because I don't think it's got any. It's also got a massive exhaust leak, so that'll need fixing. The reverse lights don't work because it's been auto to manual swapped, but I don't think you need those for an MOT. Proper number plates because they're horrendous. Airbag light goes off, even though it's got no airbag, so that should be fine. There's no major damage anywhere. So yeah, a few little bits, and then we'll chuck it for an MOT, and then see what comes back, and then sort accordingly. But then moving on to the 34, this has an MOT weirdly, but it doesn't have a logbook, so I'm going to have to apply for a logbook to get it taxed, so I can't legally drive it yet. But I don't think the MOT that it has was a proper one, but that's a whole debacle that we're not even going to go into. It needs tyres all the way around, and then the bodywork sorting, and then a full service, and then it can be a kind of daily rolling, get me to work thing. The wipers are horrendous, there's no washer bottle, you know, little bits just so it's actually usable. So yeah, they're not horrendously big projects, but they're going to keep me busy for a while. Don't record that.